Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Wealth Simplified. I am your host, Tony Raymond, owner and wealth advisor at Raymond Financial. And today I wanted to tackle probably the most common question I get, which is why should I work with an advisor or should I work with an advisor? And to me, this really comes down to three variables, and those variables are time, talent, and interest. So I wanted to break down each one of those variables and also talk about how they work together. So to talk first about the time is really the time that you're going to take care of your own situation or the time that the advisor is going to take care of your situation. So if you are busy all the time, you just don't have time to look at your investments, you don't have time to plan for what those investments are going to be used for, what types of accounts that they should be in, then that might be one reason you work with an advisor, so you just don't have the time. One caveat to that, and something that I would be careful of, is make sure that the advisor who will be giving the time to your situation actually has the time to give. If they are too busy or they have too many clients that they can't take care of your situation, that's one thing you got to look out for. Whether it's the person or the system that they have in place. Some advisors have great systems that they don't need a whole lot of time individually with the one person. They have a big enough team, a good enough system that they can do something like that. So time is one of those variables. If you don't have enough of it to put into your situation, that might be one reason you work with an advisor. Second variable is talent. I'm a firm believer that if you have the time and the interest for something, that you can develop the talent. But for this case, in working with an advisor, what talent means on the investment side is that you understand the differences between the asset classes, the correlation between all the different asset classes, and why you should own something and maybe not own something else per your given situation, your risk profile, your timeline. You just need to know all of those things, all of the rules for which accounts you're putting that money into. Ideally, the advisor that you work with would have that knowledge, would know which account we should be putting into, would know the correlation between the asset classes. So that's what I mean when I talk about talent. Then there's also the planning side of things. So not just what investments should I own and where should I hold them, but planning for the future on why we're holding them in those accounts and when we're going to take them out. One thing that we find is pretty common is people who look at their own situation and manage their planning themselves. It's really hard to hold yourself accountable to something that's going to happen in the future. So working with an advisor can help hold you accountable to that plan that you and they set in place so that you know what you're working towards and step by step how you're going to get there. The third variable that I mentioned is interest. So if you're interested in it, you want to do your own investing, you want to do your own planning, and you feel that you're capable to do it, then you can certainly do that. Some people just don't have the interest. They look at investments and say, I just don't want to deal with it, or they look at planning and they say, that's just too much information, too many numbers, and they want to work with somebody. So each one of these variables, time, talent, and interest, you can be on either side of. If you have the time to take care of your own situation, the investments, and the planning, you might not need an advisor. If you have the talent to take care of your own situation, you know the asset class correlation and the accounts that you should put your investments in, and also how to plan for those things and the rules of which accounts, you might not need an advisor. And the last, interest, if you're really, really interested in it and you're going to spend all your time researching and do what you want to do to develop that interest and develop that talent, you might not need an advisor. One question that I always ask, especially when it comes to that talent piece, is know what your advisor is going to charge, first of all. But for this example, let's say they're charging 1%. You have to ask yourself, what are the odds that this advisor can give me 1% more in returns that I would get on my own? And if you think that that advisor can do 1% better than what you would do on your own, then you got to look at it as you're getting the same return as you would on your own, but now you have access to a person, you have access to an institution that might have an abundance of information, an abundance of knowledge, an abundance of resources, and that alone might be worth it. So working with an advisor is not for everybody, but I wanted to break down those specific things, time, talent, interest, and give you my take on whether or not you think you should work with an advisor. If we're missing in any one of those variables, it might be worth it to check out working with an advisor, but I definitely recommend looking at a couple different ones. Make sure you feel that you have a good relationship with that person, that there's trust there, and also the institution that they represent or that is helping them with their information and their knowledge. So that was it for today. As always, if you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll throw it up on the screen, but it's Tony, Tony, @raymondfinancial.com. That's REMUND financial.com. And let me know what else you want to hear on this video or these videos, and we'll keep it going. Thank you. Have a good one.